The fucking Jesus! Are you back in? Am I going to have to get Victorian on you and start covering the mirrors in veils to keep out angry spirits?
It won't help. The
Why
mole
not?
man let me in.
I've got moles.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's fantastic. I didn't think I was going to have enough food until next payday. That's brilliant. Are moles better baked or fricasseed?
I don't know. Maybe fricasseed.
If you can show me. Well, no, you're not going to show me where he is, though, because if you do, then I can look up the hole and I'll get in.
Why would I want to do that?
Yeah. Fine. Treasure hunt then. Thank you for coming round again. I've probably just
No problem.
I have probably just completely moved my angle of the camera because there are no camera, not the camera because there's no camera. That would be wrong.
That would be weird.
Very weird. I've invited you here today.
Yes.
Before we get into that, though, I have been slightly, how can we put it, terronated by certain people that I know.
Terronated.
It's like a serenade, but with added terror.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yes. Consider it a goth serenade.
Intriguing.
Yeah. No, just to give a bit of a shout out to some fellow collaborators and content creators on YouTube who are worth checking out.
Okay, cool.
If you like what we do here. So, first one, if you follow us on other media things, you'll have seen shout out quite a lot to my friend Aaron and his channel Aaron's Games, which is all about games, lots of D&D, lots of fun tabletop role-playing stuff like Crush Pandas and things like that, which we're lucky enough to be one of the players on when we did it, so give it a look. Also to my friend Josh and his partner Alicia, and their podcast, which is called Dice and a Slice, which is the cosy marriage of D&D and cake.
Cake.
Yes. And discussions of the type of cake that they're eating whilst playing D&D. So if you like either of those things, or both of those two things, and like to see them put together, or at least hear them put together, then check out their podcast. And last one is to, but not to by no means least, to our good friend Shane.
Of course.
And his podcast, which is All You Need Is Blood.
That's right.
Which I understand has been going now for about 4 years. So if you want something with a slightly more adult approach, with the profanity filter taken off the wall, jumped up and down on, and then thrown out the window, then check them out. And obviously links to all of these things will be in the description. Cool. So, that's fourth wall broken for a while.
Indeed.
And now we can go back into...
Oh, we can drink now.
We can drink now, yes.
Excellent.
Cheers, nothing like some more homemade wine on a nice hot day. Yes, so,
Why am I here?
I had another idea.
Oh no.
Hope so.
Oh dear.
There's, if I can paraphrase or quote from half of our last pairing, there's evidence on my shirt. Although possibly not much evidence, you can't probably see it because this t-shirt is quite a bit, had for quite a while, and it has been used several times for painting purposes. And just the design itself has come off, but it was something I got from the Body Worlds exhibition.
Okay.
And it was, the picture that was on there was the plastinated vascular system of a rabbit.
Rabbit?
Yes.
Okay. Rabbits. Rabbits.
Yeah. By the way, were you singing?
Me?
Yes.
No, I wouldn't do a thing like that.
That's all right. Phew. Sorry.
Well, we're
definitely not doing the Beaster Bunny, because that would that would be wrong.
No, that's
would be
never,
wrong.
ever happening.
Well, the only other one that I can really think of is Watership Down.
If you were going to say Roger Rabbit, I could have come back to that with I don't think Lord Fritz would look too kindly on Roger Rabbit.
Oh, yes, but anyway.
But yes, Watership Down. And the one that I was thinking of to pair it up with is a little bit of a stretch in some respects, but in others it's not, is the film adaptation of Mrs. Frisby and the Rats of Nim, which was The Secret of Nim.
The Secret of Nim. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Great movie. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's kind of it's the most Disney non-Disney film from that period.
It's classic Dan Bluth.
Yes. Yeah.
He did have that sort of Disney style without being Disney. Although, didn't Dan do some time with Disney?
He must have done. He must have done.
I don't know. I'm not that much of an expert. I often got confused about his movies. I often thought they were Disney films.
It
when I was
feels,
little.
yeah, and certainly like the backdrops and stuff, or the scenery, or the backgrounds. There's something, there's something about the feel of the film that it feels like a 40s Disney.
Yes, yeah, like Snow White and things like that. It's
Yeah.
got qualities to it. Yeah, absolutely.
Which is interesting, because I'd be interested to see. I don't know if it's available on Blu-ray, because there's some wonderful visuals in it, which would look fantastic in
Is it
Blu-ray.
Snow White with the one where the little mice sew her dress or something?
It's been so long since I've seen it.
There is one when there's a little family of mice and they do some sewing or something.
Would it be Cinderella?
It might have been Cinderella. It's entirely possible. I've only seen those films. Well, I haven't seen them since I was like 10 at most.
Yeah.
But Bluth's characters remind me of those characters, especially. You know, that I remember that because the mice in that particular, whichever one it is, I can't remember. Oh my god! I'm sure somebody will tell us.
Exactly. Yeah. Please.
But yeah, they're very similar styles. They've got that similar motion of movement, the sort of bouncy flounciness that their characters have.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I did forget, which you possibly should have mentioned as well, if at times it may sound slightly like there's this almost industrial noise going on in the background as if we're in a David Lynch film, an early David Lynch film, it's not. It's the fan, because it is still about 27 degrees outside, and we're in a room with all the windows shut, for obvious reasons.
Yeah, so try not to melt here.
Yes.
Sorry.
Which is why, at times as well, there will be gratuitous vibrations. Yes, so those are the two that
Indeed.
I had.
Right, yeah. Okay, alright, okay.
Curiously enough as well, sorry, just again, complete serendipity here as well, that the two films, when they were made, are 3 years apart, exactly the same as our last two.
Oh.
Watership Down is 79, Secret of Nim was 82.
Well, there you go then. Oh, well, that's even more convenient, isn't it?
Yeah.
I can see that. Oh, there's there's definitely similarities. You have obviously animals in peril.
Yes.
And a need to move home.
Yeah. There's the while it's not so much. Well, the super objective isn't the same. In between both, there is still that thing of the impact of man on nature.
Oh, absolutely.
Obviously,
yes.
Watership Down, it's very obvious, man bad, man can kill nature.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Whereas in Secret of Nim, it's only man bad because he's doing what he needs to do to maintain his living.
Yeah, there's more like a sense that man is just a part of the seasons of nature as well as everything else on the planet.
So yeah, they've got that going for them. There are some. There was about at least 3 major obstacles to be kind of ironed out first before we can go into either of them.
Okay, right.
So, first one is geography, because Secret of Nim is America, Watership Down is
English.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Buckinghamshire, I think it is, because apparently there is a place called Watership Down, which was up the road from where we lived.
Oh, really? That's an actual. I didn't know. I just. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
New layer of knowledge applied there. Nice.
I don't know how much they modelled the actual design of it in the in the film on the place. Obviously, wanted to a certain degree.
They must have done.
Yeah. But again, it's somewhere to put on the list of places to go and see.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Now I know it's a real place.
Yeah. Whereas Secret of NIMH is most definitely American.
Absolutely, yes. No, there's no doubt about it.
So it shouldn't make that much difference because you can hear. I mean, they don't make in the Secret of NIMH. They don't make any concerted effort to say this is definitely America. Some of the characters have very light American accents. Some of them have almost English accents.
Absolutely. And you know, mice, rats, rabbits, all endemic to the United States, just as they are to Europe and
Exactly.
the UK. So they could easily, you know, it makes sense. It's not like they're strange animals to that
To the
environment.
environment, yeah.
Yeah.
And it also works as well because the rabbits in Watership Down, because when it was made, there was less of a reliance of making these characters savvy of, in the first place, called pop culture, but in the second place, human culture.
Absolutely.
They
Yeah.
react to
They
it
have their
as-
own words for
Exactly,
human things
exactly.
in both of the films, don't they?
So,
And
yeah, so we shouldn't. So, and we get the same with that with the Secret of NIMH. So, or an absence of that in there. So there's nothing there that would say, oh well, would they still be the same people because they grew up in America as opposed to being in England?
Rabbit's life is a rabbit's life wherever it lives, and
Exactly.
same with mice
Yeah.
and rats. So
The second one I was going to say is because these are animated films,
Yeah.
so we're taking them as they are, but we still have to consider that there is a confinement, if you like, in terms of the different styles of animation. Because the different styles of animation do inform a certain amount of what the characters can
right.
do.
You mean like how Luke's movie is a lot more anthropomorphized
Yes.
with the animals, whereas Watership Down is a lot more naturalistic.
Yes.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
So that is something to take into account. I mean, I know
Yeah.
in Secret of NIMH there is a couple of seconds, there are a few seconds of rabbits in there and they show them as rabbits. But we know that we can assume that they can talk, same as all the other animals can.
Yeah, apparently so. Yeah.
So, it's about how much, as you say, how anthropomorphized we want them to be.
Yeah, I mean, and in Watership Down, all the other animals talk as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the only thing is just the
In
anthropomorphization.
how much movement they have.
That's just the animation style, isn't it?
Exactly. I mean, even things like, I know we're kind of jumping into a bit ahead of it, but even the scene with the tractor in Secret of NIMH, again, it's kind of like, how is that going to work with a rabbit? Being able to jump up there. I mean, getting up, once they're up there is not a problem. They've got the teeth to gnaw through the cable. But it's, obviously rabbits can jump, but their jumps are more that way as opposed to that.
That is true. I mean, I'm sure stylistically you could find a way. I mean, for example, the tractor's going close to the rock.
Yeah,
That
so
scene.
leap onto the rock,
Leap onto the rock and onto the back of the tractor would do it.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And then the third biggest one, which is obviously the one that we need to really nail down before we can go anywhere with it, is who are we considering our protagonists to move? The last pairing is pretty obvious who the protagonists are, but here,
Right, I see what you mean.
certainly with Watership Down, because it is more of an ensemble piece, if you like.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I don't know, because NIMH's a bit of an ensemble. Well, no, it's not an ensemble. It's got many characters.
But it's
not the same
focused
thing.
on her. Most of the stuff,
focused on her.
even the stuff that Mrs. Brisby's children do, it's plan on.
Yeah.
It doesn't further the plot in any way. So that's obvious. I mean, that one is easy. It would have to be her and her family.
Yeah. Yes, because it is about them. It really is. Although the rats are there, they are secondary to what's happening with Mrs. Frisbee. Well, I mean, certainly with Watership Down, you definitely got Hazel, Fiver, and Bigwig being the three primary characters.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm trying to think. The others do have smaller roles. I mean, they are characters, but they're not as important to the story as those three.
See, that's interesting because I would have said you could do it with just Hazel and Fiver, because it does mention at the beginning that they are brothers.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So,
I remember that.
Yeah.
Well, I just that Hazel and Fiver are not fighters. Bigwig is the guy that does the fighting.
True. But
he's got the tactical mind. Bigwig's got the leadership. Hazel's got the leadership mind.
But you see, again,
And,
I hadn't thought
and
about
of course,
Bigwig because
and Fiver is the visionary.
yeah, Because the thing, the other reason why I thought just those two was because you then because one of them would have to be the one who's stuck at home and can't leave. And the obvious choice there would be Fiver, but at the same time...
I thought that at first, but if you really think about the secret name, Mrs. Frisbee, is it Martin?
Frisbee in the film, Frisbee in the book.
What? Sorry?
It was Mrs. Frisbee in the book, and apparently they had to change it for the film because Frisbee complained.
Really?
And that's why it became Mrs. Frisbee in the film.
You gotta be kidding me.
No, seriously.
Okay.
Even though they're spelled differently.
Well, okay, fair enough. So, Miss Frisbee.
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 No, Frisbee book film.
Frisbee.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like it.
It is.
Oh my goodness.
Because I picked up on it straight away, and it does say at the beginning of the credits, it does say based on the book Mrs. Frisbee and the
I
Rats
may
and
be
Min.
going deaf in my old age. Okay.
In the film, it's this Martin, isn't it? The littlest one who's sick.
I can't remember. Oh God, I watched this the other day. I can't remember. I thought Martin was the older one, the really.
I thought that was Tommy. The cheeky one, you mean?
Yeah.
The little cheeky one. I thought that was Tommy. Maybe I
Oh,
got them
you
mixed
might
up.
be right,
Maybe
you
I
might be
got
right.
them mixed up. It might be the other way around.
Yeah.
It might be Martin was the cheeky one and Tommy was the sick one.
Who I think, if I'm right, was voiced by Will Wheaton.
Really?
I have to admit, I mean, I watched it a little while ago. It didn't sound, I didn't immediately go, oh, there's Will Wheaton.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Yeah,
I recognised some of the actors. I recognised Dom DeLuise
Of
and
course.
a bunch of others, but
Yeah.
I didn't notice Will in there,
Yeah.
I have to admit.
And
Mind you, I suppose he must have been tiny at that age.
Well, I mean, 82, so what's that? 5? Was it 87 TNG?
I think so.
86,
I'm
87.
thinking Stand By Me was 86, I
Of
think.
course, keep forgetting he was in that.
And he was supposed to be 11 going on 12.
Oh God, so he would have been in it, so he would have been tiny, yeah, God. Because I think, because him and Shannon Doherty as well, I think is the little girl.
Really?
Yeah.
Mind you, I know Shannon, but I don't know her voice like as intimately as I know Will's.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh wow.
So it's quite a cast.
There's a few more people in there than I noticed.
But yeah, my main point is although the sick child is the one that drives the plot, you don't see him except for like maybe 3 scenes.
Exactly, and one of those is at the end.
He's not actually important in the story, he just drives the plot.
You know, we've forgotten to do something else as well.
What's that?
Very important.
Oh no.
Which we should have always done at the beginning, and we will try and do so in future, sorry. Obviously, this show will contain spoilers for 2 movies throughout. So if you haven't seen the films, you don't want to watch this, then we highly recommend that you watch the films first and then come back. Hopefully.
Yeah,
we're not
hopefully
going
we haven't
anywhere.
spoiled too much for you already.
Yes, and hopefully we're not going anywhere, so this should be up for a while.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
Good point. Completely forgot.
Yes, because there's very much that idea that
So the sick one's not actually important to the story, just to the plot, which is not the same thing.
But the only reason why I thought it was important was that whether you have just the 2 brothers or their man Bigwig as well, the obvious choice or the obvious go-to would be to put Fiver in the
He's
theme.
smaller, he's readier, he's more timid, he's got all of those weaker aspects to his character.
He does, but at the same token, would that not also feed in to replace the role that Mrs. Brisby plays, in that it's the smallest and the weakest that can save the day?
Yes, yeah, absolutely, yes. I mean, although logically, as you say, Fiver would be the first choice to be the sick one, I think he's more important than that to the story. And yes, he would be he's a visionary.
Because
he's the one who goes and does things that nobody else has done.
Yeah, it's just,
And then convinces others to follow him. Which makes sense. Yeah,
It does.
That's what Mrs. Frisbee sort of does in that story. She goes to places and talks to people that no one else does.
Exactly.
So yeah, that kind of makes sense. Yeah, it does.
But I think I'm going to need a bit more convincing that Bigwig should be in it as well. I understand why he's so important in Watership Down, but because you've got characters like Justin and things like that who are quite alpha.
Right. Okay. It's because that's my whole point.
He's Justin.
Mm.
He's the one who, the fight.
But we wouldn't be replacing the rats, though, would they? The rats would still be there.
Oh, I see what you mean.
It's only the core characters and the main protagonists.
Yes, of course. He's not one of them.
Yes, you're right.
Well, then I know it's weird because it makes less sense, but he has to be Tommy, the feisty one.
Yeah, that makes sense.
He has to be.
Okay, fair enough. No, I see that.
Because it's his nature to stand up to people.
It's kind of putting him
and
in the
not be
penalty
bullied.
box because he doesn't really do anything, but yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, when you're talking about principal characters in The Secrets of Nim, there are far fewer than there are, as you said,
yes.
Watership Down's an ensemble piece.
Yeah.
It's all of the characters moving as a group.
Whereas Mrs. Frisbee is moving from location to location and meeting different characters. Ms. Frisbee.
You're going to have to set up a
This is-
counter on the screens. I think.
It could get quite high. It really could.
We're not going to make it.
We learned last time that
Yes.
this is not something I easily overcome.
But we're not going to make it a drinking game.
No, drink responsibly, people.
Absolutely. If you choose to, then we can talk about that. See, because the thing is that then, before we go any further with that, we have to look at the other side of it and say, so obviously we're moving Mrs. Frisbee and her family.
Mm.
But in terms of the plot of Watership Down, is it just them going on this journey, or is it them and the rest of the supporting cast? So say they have been living in the same area as the rabbits, and they all leave. Because there are certain things that happen in that film that you could not do with mice. They would have to be there as, again, filling that role
Yes,
that
yes.
they do.
I see what you're saying. That's a thing that has been kind of bothering me since the beginning, because although thematically the stories are different, they're very different creatures. And what they're capable of,
Exactly.
it becomes difficult to try and find parallels.
I mean, when I was thinking about it, I at one point I looked at saying, well, should it then be Mrs. Brisby and the rabbits of Nim, and have it that they were the ones that were in the lab?
I have to admit that the idea did cross my mind just to
Yeah.
transpose the entire cast.
But then that's a completely different story,
That
because
is
it's their journey, not the story that's in the plot of the film that we're trying to.
Yes, of course it
Adhere
is.
to.
Yes, of course, because then it becomes a different. Then the Secret of Nim is a different story entirely. If
Exactly.
we're doing that, yeah.
It would be a fantastic one to do.
It
just-
would be
just,
very,
you know,
very interesting. It would be a completely different story.
Yeah.
Uh,
But then I was like, no, it's very much about this incident and how they resolve it. So,
yeah.
So to come back to the point I was originally making, if we're saying that it's Mrs. Brisby and her family and the rest of the rabbits that are from from Watership Down, then Bigwig would play a more important role in that film than he could ever do in Secrets of Nim, because he would still need to be the alpha in there. It would have to be him to be that's doing all of the stuff that he does in that film as it is.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Ooh, this is a lot harder than the last one.
I know.
It's a lot harder.
Okay. All right. Okay. So let's try and separate the stories here. So it's not just the character. Oh, this is so hard. You're making my brain hurt.
Well, I was hoping that the heat would get
I
things
need
working
more
at a different level.
Oh, the cogs are going to break down shortly, mate. I tell you. Okay, let's think about
What are you
this.
thinking?
Oh. All right. Okay.
That's going to sound great on the mic.
Yes. So. Oh, this is really hard.
Because it kind of makes me want to move more of the cast from The Secret of Nim into Watership Down. But it doesn't work, because then we're starting to tell a different story again.
No.
So there is... See, that doesn't work, but there is... See, the only other way that I can see that you could do it if you went along that line, but again it would break it, and I think both of them would fall apart, would be to bring General Woundwort and everything from Ephrafa into Secret of Nim and have them as the rats of Nim. That would work, but again, I think that's breaking too much of the story.
I know. Yeah, I see what you're saying, but yeah, it doesn't work because they're not. I mean, they're not intelligent. In fact, that's the whole point of Woundwort.
Yes.
He is not intelligent at all.
Exactly.
He's just an instinctive creature that reacts to everything that annoys him.
Yeah.
So yeah, it can't work. It can't, even though it's tempting, it can't work.
But there is a parallel there because I did notice, I'm sure you did straight away as well. The cat dragon has one eye.
Yes. Yes, I did. Oh.
Okay. All right. No. So all right. We've got our parallels. So Nim's version of wound warp is dragon.
Yes,
So we don't need to transpose it.
we don't need to. That was the only thing I was saying, because you were saying about trying to move more of the cast from one to the other.
No, I was thinking more on the protagonist side
Yes.
rather than the antagonist
Yeah.
side.
Just because the idea of, unless there are others traveling with Miss Brisby.
Mrs. Brisby. She's married. Or she's a widow.
Oh, come on! There's going to be some kind of past there. Surely.
Okay, that's a half. That's a half.
I mean, most of the journey, there are lots of parts of the journey that could work very well with nice protagonists.
Yes, but again, I think
But
it works. Yeah,
the
with them.
Everfa are the big problem
Exactly.
in that
So
story.
they need to be. So they
They're
need
so
to,
brutal.
Yeah, because they need to fill the role that obviously that Hazel and Fibre fit,
Yeah.
because they're the ones who get them moving.
Yes.
And then when they find out when Holly turns up, and they find out what's happened to the Warren. Sorry, we'll come to that one eventually, but we're just trying to establish.
Yeah.
You see, then they say, oh, they're right, which then means that the rabbits that are with them are going to be more protective of them.
Yes. Right. Okay. Yes, that's what it is.
That's the thing. I was ignoring. No, I was ignoring. I wasn't thinking about the supporting cast of rabbits.
Yeah.
And there are a few of them.
Apart from Violet.
Apart from Violet.
Violet's gone. I'd forgotten about that. I'd forgotten about that completely. When I watched it, I was like,
Oh no! When it came to rewatching it for me, the bit I'd forgotten about was stopping in the cemetery.
yes.
I'd completely forgotten about
I'd
that.
forgotten about
the
it, which
barn
was-
owl and all the rats and stuff.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that was creepier than I remember.
Yes, definitely.
But that one had completely slipped me. I remembered that there was something, because I remember when they go into that field of the smelly plants and it's like, there's something wrong here. I can't remember what it is, but
Yes.
there's something wrong. And then Violet went and was like, there's something wrong with this place. That's right.
Okay.
Yes, no, that's it. Cowslip.
The horrible
The
one in
horrible-
the
yeah.
dirty warren with all the snares and stuff.
What's
Yeah.
with Joss Ackland?
Yes.
I was just like,
There are so many people
I
in that
know.
movie. I
know.
remember when I was rewatching it, I was like, can I know this voice? Can I know this
Yeah,
voice?
the
And then
other
I got
ones
the
like
end
Richard
credits
Bryce and people like that. Yeah.
and Nigel
John Hurt
Hawthorne.
and Roy Kinnear.
I missed Roy Kinnear.
Yeah, Roy Kinnear was.
Denholm Elliott.
Yes.
And
No.
obviously John Hurt, of course.
Yeah.
You know, and a bunch of really.
Sorry,
great
I tell a lie.
actors.
Sorry, I tell a lie. Cowslip was Joss Ackland is in it.
He was.
But
Josh
Elliott
Ackland
was-
is the voice of the Black Rabbit.
That's it. Of course it is.
He's the voice of the Black Rabbit.
Yes.
That's
Sorry,
right.
sorry.
Because he was right at the bottom of the
misremembered.
list. It's the voice of the Black Rabbit.
Yeah.
That's right.
But no, definitely Roy Kinnear was Pipkin.
Oh, of course. Should have been so obvious.
Yeah.
Mind you, I haven't heard or seen anything with Roy Kinnear in it for 25 years at least.
Exactly.
Sadly missed.
So,
Anywho, right.
Yes.
Okay, so right. Okay, so we've got Mrs. Frisbee and her family. Mrs. Frisbee with her family, and the rabbits of the warren of the field. It's
of
not
the
a farm; it's a field, isn't
Yes.
it? They're actually in the field.
yeah.
Fiver, Hazel, and Bigwig.
I still say we don't need Big Wig, as I said. I think he has more of a role to play in Watership Down than he could ever do in Secret. Because
Yes, of course you're right, because otherwise
Yeah.
who's going to stand up to the general?
Exactly.
It was him. It was him who stood up
Exactly,
to the general
yeah.
in the end.
We
Yeah.
lose that, and there's no one that can really fill
Yeah,
that
you're
part.
right. Yeah, because
whereas
the
if
other
you-
rabbit, he was too badly wounded.
Yes.
The one that escaped from the Everfur in
Yeah.
the first place.
Something just went ba-ding, and I'm not sure why.
Do you want to check?
I think I do. As I say, yeah. So he because if we do take him into Secret Nim, then he'll be the only role that he can really fulfill is Mrs. Brisby's kids.
I think somewhere in the back of
and
my
they
mind,
do nothing.
I was carrying the rats over into Watership Down.
Yeah.
Without realising it, because that's the only way. The only other way that could work is to have
Yes.
the rats being
Have the rats
smart
be
with
there.
their little swords fighting the general.
But no, because then that
Which
just
again would be
changes
an-
the story again.
yeah.
We're changing the story.
Which would be an
Yeah.
interesting one as well, but yeah. No, that's...
I mean, we could have some very interesting, completely different stories that aren't Watership Down or The Secret of Nim.
Yeah.
They really would be interesting, but that's not what we're trying to do here, is it?
Exactly.
We're trying to create.
Create something that will
Okay.
follow the through line of that film. Just
So
as
I
David said
agree.
there.
Yes, I do agree. Bigwig does indeed belong in Watership Down.
Okay.
I stand corrected.
So, if we... So... What do you reckon? Secret of Nim first, then? Shall we look at that one?
Yes, I think it's going to be the easiest to transfer.
And also, because you've only got two characters to worry about.
Exactly. It's much simpler.
Yeah.
I mean, the family dynamics there are a couple of scenes that don't quite work, but I mean, they're tiny scenes in Secret of Nim. Otherwise, you know, I mean, well, you see, what you would lose the cutaways to the kids annoying the hell out of the shrew.
And the and obviously the crow as well. Yes, yeah. But yes, I know what you mean. We would lose that to a
Why would
degree.
we lose the crow?
But there are some scenes that are just the kids and the crow as well.
Yes, but it's.
So,
You
that's
mean the
what
one where they
it's
tie
referring
up
to.
with all the string?
Yeah,
Yeah, but it's just the one.
exactly.
Yeah, the rest of the time he's wandering around helping Mrs. Brisby.
Yeah. If he gets three in a row, then we take off one mark. That's all we got.
Oh my God, it's going to take me forever to get down to zero.
Okay, all right. But I mean, yeah, as I said, I mean, there are a couple of light scenes. I'm sure there are some alternatives that we could find if we think about it hard enough.
Yes, absolutely.
In this story.
Yeah,
So I
there's
don't
always
think we're
ways.
losing. We're not losing much. We're only losing maybe 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah,
And let's face it, that happened with the Lost Boys.
exactly. It did.
You
Yeah,
know,
of
these
course.
things happen sometimes.
They're both quite long films, so it's not like you're going to be losing that much.
No.
Okay, so we've got Secret of Nim
Mm-hmm.
with Hazel and Fiverr.
Fiverr.
So the next thing to you think about is they're living on this farm.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, they can't be living in a warren. They have to be living in something that needs to be moved or has the potential
Yeah,
for
that
being
was
moved
troubling me earlier on because rabbits don't have the same problems
as a mouse. would.
as a mouse would. Or rather, their homes tend to be bigger, so even if the top layer gets bulldozed.
Well, I
would
thought
normally
maybe
build-
they'd build their warren because it's another thing about the animation and the style of the Secret of Nim. They don't just have a house; they have a home.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes.
So maybe something like there's some old pipe work or some that's been half buried in the on the farm that he's never dug up, and they've just turned that into their warren.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, they lay out sprinkler pipes and things across farmers' fields, don't they?
If an old broken one got lost and forgotten in the middle of a field.
Yeah. Something like that, because it's just the two of them, and again because of this whole thing about them being more anthropomorphized than they would have been in the original story.
Yeah.
You can get away with it, and it would make more sense that they would build something. Yeah. So obviously it's a bit more of a chore for the rats to move because it's going to be a lot bigger than just a breeze block.
Absolutely, yes.
But that's the whole point of the Rats and Nim, is that they're clever enough to figure out a way of doing that.
Yes, but are we?
As the presumed writers of this new version of the story.
We're going to find out.
We'll see. Yeah, okay, all right, yes. It doesn't have to be a huge section of pipe, though.
No, it doesn't. No.
Exactly. I'm sure there are ways. I mean, the pulley system they worked probably could do more or less the same job with a section of piping.
Yeah. And we can assume that they're clever enough to figure out...
Because it's hollow, a piping wouldn't... You know, a larger section of pipe would be about the same weight as a breeze block.
Yeah.
Might be.
So you're talking about relatively comparable terms. Oh god, I'm thinking too much about the science of this. This is
No, that's good.
The Secret
That's
of
good.
Nim.
Yes.
It's got a magic amulet in it.
Exactly.
So I'm not sure I should be paying that much attention to the physics, really.
Well, but the physics are a thing in the film as well, so it makes sense to do that.
Yeah, that's an interesting one about that film, because, I mean, you've got the background of the rats being all scientific, but then you've that darned amulet.
And a couple of other elements in it are very
Well, that and also the fact
quasi-magical.
Yeah, exactly. Also the fact that Okay, so they become like how they become because of the experiments in Nim.
Yeah.
But all the other rats and mice can talk anyway.
Yes.
Which is always a bit of a weird one. It's like, well, if they became, because that little scene where Nicodemus is saying what happened.
Yes.
And in the flashback, they're very much portrayed as normal non-sentient rats.
Yes.
Or non-sentient, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, non-self-aware, shall we say. Until they get experimented on. But then everybody else within the story, and I think it was something that was commented on when the film was released. I think a number of critics did mention it. Was
you're right.
It kind of undermines their achievement because all of the other animals can do that already anyway.
You see,
they don't have the technical know-how. They're not able. They can't.
That's interesting.
They can't become engineers, but they can already talk. They can obviously they.
Yeah, I was going to argue the thing about the experiments at Nim was that it allows the rats to understand humans.
But then we've got the scene where Mrs. Brisby is overhearing the farmer talking on the phone about the men from Nim coming to take the rosebush.
Yes.
And she understands him just fine, and she wasn't a part of the experiment.
So yeah, you're right. That is kind of a plot hole.
It is, but
yeah.
It's taken me till this long to notice it, so we don't worry about it.
If you hadn't said that, I would never have noticed either. Huh. But all right, okay.
So who then are we saying? Who fills the role of Jonathan Brisby? Because the whole film starts with the news that Jonathan Brisby is dead.
It's a tough one. Because there's no strong family connection beyond Fiver and Hazel.
Wow, could have been another brother?
Is that?
Well, I mean,
No, because he's one of the experimental. Or
see, I wondered if it could possibly be their mother.
That would explain how it happened.
Yeah. We could also. It also means we could give them a bit more.
And Fiver's tendency to have visions and stuff.
Yes, but it also means that within the context of the film, we could allow them to have a little bit more manual dexterity.
Well, that's one of the things I was thinking, because apart from the ability to understand humans, the story of Nim section shows the rats like physically changing and learning to oppose their paws, and thumbs, and whatever the words are.
Or no, their paws, aren't they?
No, paws.
Yeah, they're learning to oppose the thumb on their paw and stuff like that, aren't they? To manipulate things.
Yeah, so that would.
So it would explain the intelligence.
How they can do that as well. Yeah. Again, I would think it would have to be some second generation, so it's not as developed as the rats.
Absolutely. Also, rabbits are far less intelligent than rats in real life. Rats are one of the most intelligent rodents and one of the most intelligent mammals there is.
Yes.
And they're very clever little creatures.
Absolutely.
So it's
Some
not
pigs.
it's not unimaginable that an enhanced rabbit would still be less intelligent than rats.
Yeah. Okay, so we established that it's their mother. It's their mother who has passed away.
Yes. It would seem to be.
How exactly they were getting a rabbit to go out of a tiny hole to try and put.
Rabbits have amazing gnawing abilities.
I know technically rats do too, but that's another plot hole in that story.
The rats could have just gnawed through the wire.
Oh no, not that, because he was trying to put the sleeping powder in Dragon's hole. Because he was one of the rats to get through the hole to get across.
Oh right. Oh
to get
dear.
across
Yes.
the kitchen to do that, and that's where he died.
It's not really surprising if the rabbit got caught.
So we may have to.
Maybe if we put Dragon's Bolt outside, it
That's
would
what I
work
was
more
thinking.
thematically.
That's what I was thinking.
I think that's the only thing that really makes sense, that a rabbit would have a better chance than a rat in an open space.
Yeah.
Over long distance.
It could be, yes, it could even be, say, because it looks like there's like a porch somewhere. So it could have been in the porch and he just had to nip through the door.
Yeah.
Drop it in. I mean, if you wanted No, it doesn't matter. No. No, all I was going to say was if you wanted to do it, but then again it changes the plot of that bit too much. Is that it would have been one of the rats that would have gone and dropped the thing in the bowl, and they had.
No, because we need that significance of the familial tie.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
Because that's why the rats agreed to help them.
All I was going to say was that her job was to be there as a lookout, so that they didn't get captured as a distraction. So if it looked like if Dragon spotted them,
she could have just been the lookout.
Yeah, and
they were going for it, and the cat got hurt.
Yeah, so her job was if they saw Dragon.
It was Dragon who did it. Yes, it was. Yeah.
If they saw Dragon going to get to the rat who's putting in the poison, she would then run out and it would chase her.
Yeah,
but it caught her.
It caught her. Yep. Yes, that works.
Perfect.
That does work.
So as we're kind of saying, I think we're having to say then that it's Hazel who is unwell, which puts all the responsibility on Fiver to look after her, to try and help him get better.
Yes. All right. It really does only make sense that way.
Yeah. So the film would open up with the thing about whatever the name, the people who would actually write this film decided to give to their mother.
So not Jonathan, but Jessica or whatever.
Yes.
Jessica Rabbit.
I think there should be a count of 5. But no, it works. It works perfectly, actually. Yes, I will drink to that. So Jessica Rabbit is dead.
Unfortunately.
Absolutely. So, yeah. And then it would open up with, again, quite a nice shot of the old farm equipment.
Mm-hmm. Of course,
So Aegis is. So we've got Fiver going to visit him to get medicine for Hazel, who's unwell.
Yeah.
And apparently has pneumonia.
Yes.
Because you're going to have to be pneumonia because the only other possible option is myxomatosis.
No, that would change the tone of that cartoon.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
That's a bit too much water.
A little dark.
Yes.
A little dark.
I mean, that's darker than Watership Down dark.
It does, yes. Yeah.
So, yeah, no. We'll go with pneumonia.
Yes.
Yeah. Slightly less terrifying.
Exactly. So he comes to get the medicine.
Yeah.
Which again, that all plays out, although obviously there are some logistical problems there because they're not both going to fit in that bucket when they go down the hole.
Oh, yes. Yes, that was another thing that had crossed my mind. But there's some stuff happening in that scene.
Mm.
I mean, you are aware that was an airlock.
Yes.
That they were in.
Yeah.
So I think we can stretch
of course
our credulity a little and make the vessel a little larger.
Absolutely. Which again could even because it's a kids' film, it's another possible source for a gag. So that they're both in there, but obviously doesn't match his weight quite right, or if he has to squeeze in, or it starts to fall a bit faster than it should because he has to compensate.
I could just
for
imagine
it.
Hazel's face smooshed up against the glass of the lantern.
It's not Hazel, though, is it? It'll be Fiver. Hazel, yeah.
No, Hazel.
No, because Hazel's the one who's ill, and it's Fiver who's taking the role, isn't it?
Oh, of course. Sorry, I got it back to front. Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, even that, it's squished up against it.
Up against there with his doleful eyes. And his, yeah. No, I think it could work.
Which again, if you did want to let a little bit of Watership Down creep in,
a small rabbit. He's ranting.
Yeah, he is. But if you do want to let a bit of creep in there, he's in a confined space. Doesn't like being confined.
Don't like it.
Yeah. But yeah, so that would play out as normal, with allowing for a difference.
Yeah, most of that makes sense. The rest of that scene,
because that beginning bit is pretty seamless. I mean, that from there, leaving there, heading home, running into the Crow.
Yeah.
His name I've forgotten.
Jeremy.
That's it. I knew it was a J. Too many J's.
Yeah.
So that all goes the same, but obviously it's going to be slightly different, the conversation between them, because it's a bigger creature.
Yes.
I mean,
yes,
Fiver is still quite timid.
Because Jeremy is silly and Miss Risby is sensible.
Yes.
Whereas Fiver is a little more flighty.
Yes, and a lot more timid as well.
Yeah. So there would still be a lot of comedy, but it would be a different kind of comedy.
Exactly.
It'd be there would be more misunderstanding.
Yeah.
Definitely about what was happening in that scene. But it still worked. In fact, I think you could probably wring a bit more comedy out of it than you got from the existing scene.
Yeah.
With a nervous rabbit and a
And
silly
the
clumsy crow.
hyperactive, yeah, yes, it would be good actually.
There's quite a lot of slapstick available in that situation, I think.
Yes. And again, all of the stuff with Dragon works the same as well.
Of course, yes.
There is one thing that we're going to have to obviously change. Or not. We just have to find another way around it.
Mm-hmm.
If we remember, again, remembering that these characters have all the, insofar as possible, the abilities that they had within their own film, it's clearly obvious that Fiver can't swim. Because they have to put him on the raft to get him across the river. He's one of the ones who's on the raft.
No, he couldn't swim because he was exhausted. There was the two rabbits that were completely exhausted and couldn't run anymore.
Oh, yes, okay. I just remember Hazel going, those who can swim, swim and push the others, and him being on the raft. So I obviously it slipped my mind.
Yeah, because he's like, no,
because
I'm done for, and so is Poppy, or whatever it is the other rabbit was, and then sort of lie there going...
That's why. Okay,
yeah.
I'd forgotten.
Because they've been running for like a day and a half at that
That's
point.
it, yeah. Okay, so that's fine. So we can establish that he can swim, so he can get away.
Yeah, he could, yeah.
And again, it's just the way it will be shot. Everything that he interacts with will be of a compatible size to him.
Of course.
In terms of where he gets out and things like this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They're just environmental changes.
Exactly. Yeah. So that all would run the same. Again, you could have a scene with the shrew and with Hazel, because I can imagine if he's ill.
Oh, a shrew and Hazel, yes. Oh, yes, that would work. She's a bit of a bully.
Yeah.
And he's a bit timid.
There's all sorts of ways that I could, yeah.
Well, I mean, he's a little bit timid,
but he's also
ill, so he's probably a little bit grumpy as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, being a lot bigger than she is.
Yeah.
While they're waiting for Fiver to get back. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Yes. Keep mixing them up. No.
Because
Hazel, yeah.
Yeah, because Hazel
less
is
nervous,
quite calm.
more confident.
He's more
sensible.
confident, yeah. And yeah, so that's quite a nice little banter there, because it could be, it's almost like she's his distraction because he's ill and he can't do anything. And so it could be, this is him just winding her up for something to do because he can't do anything else. Yes. Not that he's vindictive in any way, it's just,
No, but Hazel does have a little bit of a sense of humour. You do see it a little bit.
Yes.
Down.
Yeah. Yeah,
it does come through in certain places. Yeah.
Which would play off quite nicely with how prim and proper Auntie Shrew is.
Oh, yes. While I'm here. Yeah.
Exactly. So all of that would be the same, and again, just as you say, environmental changes, so it fits.
Pretty much. Yeah.
And that also establishes that they are living in this section of pipe that's somewhere in the garden.
Okay, yeah, no, that makes sense.
And again, as you say, which perfectly feeds back into what you were saying about humans in Secret of NIMH being part of the cycle. Moving day, it's a thing that happens every year.
Yes, that's the thing. We don't have Hazel's vision, we have just everybody knows it's moving day.
Yeah.
And it's Mrs. Shrew's job, of course, to tell everybody. So we have, even if other elements of the story don't make sense, her presence there makes sense. It's her job to tell everybody about moving day.
Yes.
Whilst annoying the heck out of Hazel.
Which suddenly occurs to me, they have a much better life than we do, because they have two houses, because they say they're moving to their summer house.
Yeah.
Which is like, what? Hang on. Yeah. Where's my summer house? I'm sorry.
That would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yes. We have to move because they're coming to plough up the land.
Yeah, but just having an excuse for a summer house,
Exactly,
I'll take whatever I can get, personally.
So that works.
Yes.
And then so everything until Fiver comes back and he's got the medicine.
Yes.
And that's quite nice as well, because then that's a nice little scene there between the two of them as brothers.
Of course, yes. It adds more context. It would be a longer scene.
Yeah.
It wouldn't just be here, drink this. It would be, there'd be more of the brotherly interaction.
I must admit, there was that scene in particular in the original film, and it suddenly occurred to me, even though it's not because it's the wrong time of year, it actually made it feel like this should be a Christmas film. If you're going to see a resurgence in popular culture of The Secret of NIMH, it should be as a feel-good Christmas film. It gave me the same feels as Christmas did as a kid.
I can see what you mean. I don't know if it needs to be a Christmas film, but it's got a very good feel-good feeling to it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember when we were kids, there would be bank holiday Mondays, when none of the television was the normal television.
Yes.
And they'd always stick random films on. And they were often those sorts of films that would entertain you and make you feel good.
And that was one of them. Yeah.
And it should be one of those films, definitely. I don't know if I'm sure. Maybe I'm wrong. It might not be enough of a feel-good movie to be a Christmas movie, but it's definitely up there.
It's
on
on that
feel-good factor, definitely.
Yeah.
And that scene as well when she goes to. I was going to say Timmy, but it's not Timmy because that's Tiny Tim, isn't it, from bloody Christmas Carol?
Goes to see.
No, I'm just still trying to remember the name of the kid of the little one.
I think it's Tommy.
Okay.
I think one of them is Tommy, and I think one of them is Martin.
Yeah, one of them is
I cannot
definitely
remember the
one of them
girl's
is
name.
one of them is definitely Martin, and I can never remember the girl's name. It's terrible. But then again, I think they say it once in the film.
Once in the whole movie.
That would be again nice little touching scene between the two of them. And then from there we move straight into moving day, which comes a day earlier. Well, no, there's not, because you've got the scene with the rats, so that would still play out as normal.
Wait, the scene with the rats?
Where they've got, so it's from the outside of the house. We got the wife, the human wife, telling the husband, the farmer, that she's had a call from Nim.
Yes.
Asking about the rats. And it's fantastic because at the same time you've got them shimmying down the side of the house with the cable.
Oh, with the cable. Oh, that bit with that's when they light up the rose bush. Yes. Yeah.
That was brilliant. I love that scene. But it's, so yeah, again, all of those bits will play out as normal.
Of course.
Which again, yes, would move us into the next day, which is the unexpected moving day.
Yes, moving day came early.
Yes.
I'm going to say, should we take a small break here?
Well, I was going to. Yes, we can do. I mean,
we've kind of covered what is essentially Act 1.
We have.
Ba-ba-ba, ba-ba-ba, ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da.